Sathya Sai Speaks, Volume 11, Chapter 47. Yajna, What It Teaches. The Veda Purusha Saptaha Jnana Yajna, being celebrated every Dashara at Prashanti Nilayam, is a rite that promotes the welfare and prosperity of the whole of mankind, but it is difficult to convince doubters and disbelievers that this is the truth. Many feel that such Vedic ceremonies can be performed in orthodox style, with all the mantras uttered in correct style only in India. Their efficiency, if any, is confined to this land only. And so, they ask, how can this be beneficial in other regions where people have no faith in such rituals and hymns? Such doubters restrict the meaning of the word yajna. Yajna means any activity dedicated to the glory of God, not merely this activity prescribed in the ancient scriptures. Activity dedicated to the glory of God is being done and can be done in all climes, in all realms, by all races. The dedication ensures success. Without it, there will inevitably arise anxiety, fear, and faction. Every activity in the world is God-directed, Godward moving, whether you know it or not. Only one has to be aware of it and share in the thrill of that knowledge. If God is not the inspirer and motivator, how can the universe be moving in harmony, wheeling so smoothly? Else there will be chaos, anarchy, and an inferno of gamble. Charity and self-control are integral parts of yajna. Do not think that the yajna is only this ceremony performed in this enclosure, marked out as specially holy, attended by readings and recitals from sacred texts and the chanting of Vedic hymns, and nothing other than this. No, yajna is a continuous process. Everyone who lives in the constant presence of God and does all acts as dedicated to God is engaged in yajna. These processes go together in spiritual discipline as laid down by the sages. Yajna, dana, and tapas, sacrifice, charity, and self-control. They cannot be partitioned and particularized thus. Charity and self-control are integral parts of yajna. That is why yajna is translated as sacrifice, for the process of charity or dana is essential in yajna. Also tapas, that is to say, strict regulation of emotions and thought processes to ensure peace and faith. There are various yajnas prescribed by the Vedas. This is the Veda Purusha Yajna, a sacrificial ceremony dedicated to the Purusha extolled in the Vedas. The Purusha mentioned in the Purusha Sukta as constituting the universe and subsuming it in wholly as the limbs of his cosmic body. Every householder has the duty of performing for his own welfare and the welfare of the society in which he lives. 5 yajnas like Pitra Yajna, yajna by which the forefathers are worshipped; Rishi Yajna, yajna by which the sages are honored, that is to say, by the study and practice of their teaching; Bhuta Yajna, yajna by which the animals and lower beings are revered, that is to say, by provision of shelter fodder, etc., and Deva Yajna, worship of God. The Veda Purusha is the Purushottama, the supremest person, for by his will he manifested himself as the cosmos and its components out of himself. There is nothing that is not he, so how can you be different? In these matters, faith comes first. It has to. Believe that you are divine. Conduct yourselves in accordance with that sovereign status. Then you will be blessed with the anubhuti, the experience, the vision, the realization, the awareness, the bliss. And as a result, you are merged in that everlasting bliss, Ananda. The only one God can be reached by 1,000 names. Remember, you cannot have the Anubhava experience and the Ananda bliss first. And you cannot postpone faith until you get them. You cannot bargain, give me the Ananda and then I shall have faith. See the Purushottama in all Purushas. Purusha means he who lives in the Pura, port, city or town. Each one of us is the resident and the sole resident of a distinct house of God. But the Purushottama, the supreme resident in all cities, is God. You can recognize this Purushottama if you educate yourselves properly. Take this yajna performed here. In this one fire, offerings are made concurrently with the recitation of the names of God, enclosed in elaborate hymns. More than 3,560 offerings are made each day for 7 days. Each name describes God as having a special form, but this one fire consumes all the offerings, and through its intermission, every one of the offerings reaches the one God, the one that really is. Though you are acknowledging only one in all these rites, proclaiming the one Advaitic, non-dualistic, divine, your sense and your intellect and your mind, its pack of desires, insist on running after the many. This is the Maya, delusion, that casts its enchantment on weak and ignorant men. It urges man towards wild, prolific greeds of the many-faced senses. When you take food, do it in a prayerful mode. To realize the One, the Universal Absolute, which personalizes itself into God and creation, there is no discipline more valuable and more effective than Seva. All the 1,008 names of the Sahasranama Archana reach the One. All the 1,000 names of 1,000-faced society connote only the one God that plays in those 1,000 roles. The One appears as if it is enshrined in the 1,000 bodies. This is the truth you have to realize and cherish as the most precious in life. You have observed that the Vedic Pandits, priestly scholars, are pouring ghee into the fire every time the recitation of a hymn is over. Every day when you take food, you are offering eatables to the fire that God has lit in you to digest food. You have to eat it in a prayerful mode, in profound gratitude. The Gita says that the fire which cooked the meal is God. The meal is God. The eater is God. The purpose of eating is to carry on the work entrusted by God or pleasing to God, and that The fruit of that work is progress towards God. You must perform another yajna too every day. Pour the egoistic desires and emotions, passions, impulses, and acts into the flames of dedication and devotion. In fact, that is the real yajna, of which these are reflections and prompters, guides and prototypes. This yajna is only the concrete symbolic representation of the abstract underlying truth. Just as a child is taught to pronounce the words head, net, wave, garland by making it associate the sounds and the letter forms with pictures of the objects so named. Through this shara, temporary symbol, the akshara tattva, the eternal principle, is brought before the consciousness. Make every thought a longing for God. This puja and this yajna and this homa are arranged here every dashara in order to help you to learn that other everlasting abstract yajna which every one of you has to do to save yourselves from fear, grief, and anxiety. You must have noticed that the Pandits close each day's yajna with a prayer that calls for world peace, peace for all mankind, peace and happiness, for there can be no peace without happiness and no happiness without peace. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu, they pray, may all the world have happiness and peace. Peace of mind cannot be gained by wealth or fame or scholarship or skill. For that, you have to clean the mind, purify the heart, yearn for service of the divine forms that move around you. Do every deed as an act of worship. Make every thought a longing for Him. Change every word that comes from your tongue into a hymn in His praise. This is the lesson that you have to learn from Prashanti Nilayam every Dashara during the week the Yajna is celebrated. Prashanti Nilayam, October 11th, 1972. Each of you has struggled upwards from the stone to plant, from the plant to animal, and from animal to man. Do not slide back into the beast. Rise higher to divinity, shining with the new effulgence of love. The divine is the energy that animates, the urge that circulates the blood in your veins, that transmits the knowledge and experience through the nerves, that correlates and collects for storage the impressions your senses gather, the conclusions your intelligence garners. Keep in line with the divine by means of love, truth, and goodness. Sri Sathya Sai Baba.